Hi everyone and welcome to you all. I'm Karina from the Emerald Isle of Ireland and I'd like to wish by starting you an Irish blessing, which is Céad Míle Fáilte, meaning 100,000 welcomes. I'm so excited to be here in this megaverse, sharing this incredible weekend of positivity with you all, as I do believe we can now open up the largest conversation our world has ever seen. I'm sure you'll agree that learning through an immersive experience is without doubt the best way to ignite our imaginations. And so I only wish the metaverse existed back when I was a child, as I know it could have made the world a difference to me. You see, my childhood school days were extremely challenging, as I was that daydreamer, and someone that felt trapped in the Groundhog Day cycle of going to a place and environment that made me feel sick at times. I felt lost and left behind within an academic system that made no allowances for that creative thinking, art-loving, empathetic child who loved animals and storytelling. But sadly, there was no room for an imagination, which was a soul-destroying reality for that 8-year-old me. And 100 years ago, one of our famous Irish philosophers, Pádraig Pearse, called the school system the killing machine, which is a provoking thought, and yet one I still ask myself as to what changes have really been made in the lives of our most precious children. And here I am now, 40 years later, still disheartened as I watch the lights dim in my own children's eyes, knowing that the environment of school has slowly drained their free spirit and imaginations. Our ever-changing world has evolved, and yet our schools still remain sadly very much the same. Our children are struggling to communicate their feelings, and they're suffering with all sorts of anxieties based on the environment of school and the immense outside pressures. And so this is what really has reinforced my mission with AUNUA Global even more, as I guess the footprint of my memories have also played a part in provoking me to take action, as the curriculum designed for an industrial age just doesn't cut it in this one. All these years later, I'm now thankful for the experience, although I wasn't at the time. I'm now proud to say I've become an advocate for children, as my past experiences have been my inspiration on who I am today and what I've become. I'm now the founder and CEO of AUNUA Global, which is a social impact enterprise here in Ireland. We champion youth from all around the world who are flying their flags for change in alignment with each one of the United Nations global goals. And we give them a stage to shine and share their message and impact with the world through our platforms, our networks, and our media. And we're growing our AUNUA Global community, and we're building an academy, metaverse. And this will be an inclusive world where every young person around the world can be part of this. And it's one that will help align them with one of the UN global goals that is important and connects them with what's important to them. We want to cultivate entrepreneurship within youth and provide them with scholarships and reward them for doing the impactful work that they do. Could you imagine our children will be able to attend workshops, ones led by young, impactful people that are doing amazing work? Imagine learning and being part of their team, and take what you've learned and bring it back into your own life, school, homes and community. Imagine the impact you could be part of. Perhaps you could replicate what they're doing and bring it back to your own life and be able to create a bigger impact, and that wave rippling around the world and what's possible in that space to you. Or perhaps you could paint a picture or do a drawing or write a story or recite a poem. You could sing, dance, or learn a new skill. And when you're given the opportunity to share your gifts and talents at a gallery or on a stage, I'm here today and excited to announce that we have now the opportunity to create the biggest impact our world has ever seen. If we can adapt and balance the knowledge we receive in the metaverse and bring it back into the real life, and bring it back into an experience that could be a transformational in our own lives and can impact the lives of millions, if not billions, around the world. A new way to learn, love, and lead. And our ability to connect as a global community has changed everything, as we no longer look inwardly. We realized we need to be looking outwardly And now we have the ability to be able to bridge our worlds together and inspire change. In collaboration, we can wave the greatest waves of impact and make changes together. And so when I was asked to do this talk, I'd really think about what message I wanted to share. And taking into consideration where we are today in the metaverse, I really wanted to hone in what this could mean to our next generation. And the truth is, we now know the fast pace of AI and what the capabilities are. And so there's no denying that we've all got to evolve with it. And so perhaps some of the movies watched stemming back to the 1980s with Back to the Future, and even more recently like Ready Player One or Free Guy, are not so far-fetched after all. However, we don't want to see our children sitting in the darkness and isolation in front of a screen. This is not the reality we want to see for them. The metaverse can offer so many incredible out-of-this-world experiences, and when used to enhance our lives, it can be transformational and enable us to reimagine a new world, and one world filled with limited possibilities. However, it's crucial we do this with ethical control, especially for our children's sake, as what will seem their reality is not a true reality and should not be used in place of real-life experiences, where we get to experience the human connections. As we are compassionate, empathetic, loving beings. And this is the type of human we want to cultivate and see in our world. And so it's going to be so important that we learn how to use AI responsibly and not have it use us. So now I'd like to set the scene on how and what this could look like for you. Could you imagine being able to go and see through the lens of a 14-year-old boy in India who feels disheartened to see his country affected by climate change and the hopelessness he feels? How else he's compelled to take action, and he's built a team, and with his friends each Sunday, they go out and they plant trees in his community because he knows that this is how he can help contribute in reducing the harmful carbon emissions that are destroying his people and our planet. Or could you imagine that 12-year-old little girl in Africa who's just had to leave school because of period poverty, leaving her friends and facing the harsh reality that the life she knew is over, and she now has to face a new reality of the darkened room during her menstrual cycle, and thinking she's not enough. And the uncertainty and fear of her future is way too hard for us to comprehend. But I'm hopeful for a better tomorrow, as we all have the amazing ability to help shape the future. If we can cultivate kind leadership as a new curriculum, and one that we can bring to life and learn from through the metaverse, as we can be the change and create the change we want to see. And so here we all are today, starting our own megaverse journey. Perhaps you'd like to discover something new about yourself, or you're looking for a new sense of meaning and purpose in your life. Maybe you want to be inspired to take a new direction, and you want to meet new people and engage in a more meaning conversation. Okay, now I'd like you to imagine being able to explore the many wonders that our world has to offer. Perhaps you could enter the majestic African plains and be guided by that young boy in the Africa who can inspire you to see through his eyes when he tells you the stories on how the wild animals roam freely through the beautiful landscapes. And so hearing him tell you a story captivates your imagination and brings you into that experience. Or maybe you want to learn about the ecosystems. And so now you can walk through the 50 shades of green within the flourishing forest, where you get to learn about our wonderful planet and the beauty around us. Or maybe you want to take a deep dive into the ocean and be surrounded by an aquarium with the most beautiful array of extraordinary, colourful fish and the coral reefs of the ocean. Could you imagine being guided by marine biologists who can now add the stories to make it even more interesting? 5 years ago, I took the biggest leap of faith. I reinvented myself. But I started with my own story. And I guess you could say that I needed to find my way back. I needed to find myself. I needed to believe in myself. In order for me to create the community and build AUNUA and work with all these amazing people, I had to find myself. I had to believe in myself. But you know, self-belief doesn't come to us naturally sometimes. It has to be borrowed. So I had that support. I had somebody in my life that instilled a sense of belief in me. And I borrowed that. And I took ownership of that. But I was inspired to do something. And this was the biggest, most impactful thing that helped change my world, when I knew the importance of mental health and being able to really understand our purpose. Our sense of value in this world is so important. I only wish back years ago when I was a child I could have discovered my sense of purpose in this world. And I think, wouldn't it be amazing if we could ignite that in our youth today, giving them a better understanding of who they are, what they're capable of. But this is something that we need to connect to. We need to connect to others. We need to listen to those stories that inspire us to make changes. I'm ashamed to say my generation has been the one that has destroyed our planet. Our children are facing such uncertain futures unless we're prepared to do something about changing things. We all know our world is full of fears and anxieties about the future. But yet, we know the challenges that we have to face. We need to do this together. We need to shine a light on those who are doing the impactful work, the ones that are actually creating the difference, the ones that are flying the flags for change. And I'm so inspired by the young people out there that are doing impactful work, because they want to save their planet. And we need to be the ones getting behind them. We need to champion our youth. We need to give them the opportunity to share and shine their message with the world and make the difference. It's our responsibility. I don't want to look back in my children and my grandchildren's eyes and feel like I didn't play a part in making a difference in their lives, saving their planets. We have a beautiful world. We've got so much to appreciate, and yet we see it dwindling. It's heartbreaking to see so much of our planet and how it's been affected by climate change, by war, by famine. It's hard to comprehend what our world could look like in the next 5, 10, 15 years' time, unless we're prepared to take action. This is a global conversation we all need to have right now. We don't have time to waste. You know, I wonder how we're going to have this conversation. I wondered where. But now I realize we have the metaverse. And the metaverse maybe is a way for us to connect and come together and be inspired to make the changes that are so necessary right here, right now. AUNUA Global, we're building a community for youth, for impact, for change. And really what we want to do is create an environment that's going to teach, inspire, and encourage young people to come together to be the change that they want to see and we want to see. Building a community and an academy that's going to teach them about each one of the global goals is going to be crucially important. Because we all need to be involved in something that's going to feed our souls. Being part of an impact, the impact that we can create. Having a sense of value in our lives, a sense of purpose. It's going to be really important how we do this. Learning from experiences and learning from others, learning from everybody around the world. That's how we build a global community, a global family, because now we're in it together. We're not going to solve any problems if we keep looking inwardly. We have got to look outwardly. We've got to look at this problem as a global problem that we're all looking to fix together. And there is solutions and there is ways. But bringing everything to life, perhaps, the metaverse is the only way we can do that. We can create the change and we can build the momentum and really ignite what's possible when we bridge worlds together and ignite new possibilities for a new world, a new future, and then bring these amazing experiences back out into our own homes, our own schools and our own communities, because the real magic will happen when we can bring it back into our lives and really be part of the change and really feel what's possible through immersive experiences. Perhaps in the metaverse, we'll bring it back to how we can do this in the real world. Imagine taking a project that somebody's working on in Africa or India and bring it back home and be able to create that ripple of impact and change, because now you've joined a movement of impactful leaders that want to inspire you to be your best. And replicating something and bring it back into your own community just brings everything so much more to life. We will have this opportunity and we will make those changes and we'll do it together. If we want to take education to a whole new level, it's going to mean we'll have to be brave and fearless at times. Because in order to change things, we need to start with ourselves. We have to be willing to listen attentively to our children when they tell us their problems, and be willing to take matters into our own hands at times, as this will require us to see through their eyes and not be held back and influenced by those who try and convince us to think their way. And so now we've got to be more intuitive. For us to learn to adapt in this new ever-changing world, it's going to be essential that we tap into our emotional intelligence and understand our holistic selves, our critical thinking, and developing the art of communication skills. We at AUNUA call it to discover your roar, which is an acronym for understanding your greatness. It's opening up your self-awareness, acceptance in ourselves and the differences in others, and reconnecting with the world around us, our people and our planet. Lastly, I'd like to invite you to join the AUNUA Global Movement for youth, for impact, for change. And I'd like to remind you that everything becomes possible when you believe. Thank you.